With the latest on Hurricane Milton. As we have said and you have seen continually through the weather advisories and alerts, that we are going to be significantly impacted by Hurricane Milton. Hurricane Helene was a water event, and that was devastating for portions of our community, especially those along our waterways, which are 126 miles worth of waterfront property in our community. Milton has a possibility of bringing close to twice the amount in storm surge, hurricane force category 3 or 4 winds, and a great deal of rain on our already saturated community. So we can't ask you in any other way to please be prepared. If you are in evacuation zone A or B, you should have already left. So if you're hearing this right now, prepare to evacuate. You don't have to go out of state. You just have to get out of the way of that water. Run from the water, hide from the wind. Everybody in our Tampa Bay area has that phrase memorized by now. We could not underscore the importance of this anymore. So a couple of things that I want to go over since our last press conference. Gas. We're starting to see some less than cordial Tampa Bay behavior at some of our gas stations. So please, 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 everybody, patience. We're all in this together. I have talked to Paul Anderson, the CEO at Port Tampa Bay. I am on that board, and the tanks in the port are full. And so it's just an issue right now of people going and filling up all at once. So it's a demand, it's not a supply. The tankers are coming out of the port to replenish those filling stations as quick as they can. My filling stations in neighborhood or in Seminole Heights were out yesterday, and several of them are pumping gas today. So again, patience on that front. We have the gas situation covered in our city. I also want to talk a bit about rumor control. There are rumors that we don't have enough resources. That could not be further from the truth. The federal government, the state government, the county, the city, private entities are working hand in hand. First and foremost, to get that household debris up and out of the way. And secondly, to make sure that everyone is safe as we endure whatever Milton brings our way. Tampa General Hospital has the aqua fence that has a capacity of handling 15 feet of storm surge. It saved the hospital during Helene, and we're hoping that it does the same through Milton, because as everyone knows, that is our Trauma 1 location. And also, again, to the resources, the collaboration, the cooperation. I have talked to the president. The administrator of FEMA was here yesterday. She rode around with us, asked what we needed, went over to the barrier islands in Pinellas County and did the same there. The state, I've talked to the governor, been in constant contact with our emergency manager. They are working to get us all the resources we need. So please don't get political on this. This storm is going to affect everybody, and we are getting the help that we need from all of the different governmental officials. So thank you again for everyone's patience. On the rumor control, we are not proactively shutting off water anywhere. Tico, who is going to speak, is not shutting off electricity either. There's the possibility that the storm surge or the wind will knock down trees, power lines, everything else that will affect different services, but we will be sure to keep you informed in a timely manner. And to that end, if you haven't already, please text Tampa Ready to 888-777. You'll get real-time updates with factual information. Hate to break it to you, but a lot of what you see on social media is not factual. Stick with the facts. For those alerts in Spanish, text 888-777 to Tampa Lista to 888-777. So now this will be a first in a press conference dealing with a hurricane, but the next speaker up and the most important person of the hour and an individual who has been doing an amazing job is the director of our solid waste, Larry Washington.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. I truly appreciate the kind words. First and foremost, thank you, City of Tampa, for your patience. There's a lot of debris out there, whether it's household debris or it's vegetative debris. There's a lot of debris there, and it's been a full court press on debris cleanup. And that's not just the solid waste department, that's citywide. We have contractors in place right now, and we're still currently collecting debris. Our primary focus is the household debris. So if you have vegetative debris, please try to store it in some type of garage, bring it into some type of shelter so then we can try to weather out Hurricane Milton. Since September 29th, we have been actively collecting debris. Now, currently, we have collected 26,000 cubic yards of debris, and we store these at our debris management sites. We have one in South Tampa, and we have one over next to the port as well. So, for those of you that have the ability to bring your debris to the transfer station, please do so. I was there this morning, and we only had a line of 4 or 5 people. So, with all of those households with debris curbside, if you have the ability, bring it on to us. But if you don't, then we're still trying to collect your debris. So roughly, as of now, we received roughly 500 ready individuals bringing their waste to our transfer stations. So that's 500 people that have been proactive with bringing their waste over. Now that equates to roughly 400,000 pounds of debris from our residents alone. So great job there. In addition, if you are trying to utilize our transfer station, we've heard your concerns about the process. So if you have an ID, a City of Tampa ID, and you receive some type of solid waste service, please come to the front, to our scale house, and we will process you. We are no longer requiring any water bill or a bill of that nature. In addition, so we are still actively collecting garbage and recycling. Yesterday we ran routes, and today we will run routes until we are complete. After that, we go into emergency response mode. Now, please stay patient with us while we continue to collect. We're going to end collection for debris at 7 a.m. So that's 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. We don't want to sacrifice service over safety, so we have to end it there. But thank you again, Mayor. We are trying to actively collect all the debris that's curbside, but if we do not get to you, we will definitely respond after Hurricane Milton. So thank you again.
Thank you, Larry. And as he said, all hands on deck. It wasn't just the solid waste. We have parks and recreation, we have mobility, we have water, wastewater, a lot of private entities that we did emergency contracts with. So, doing everything that we can. I believe it takes 3 weeks to a month to clean up after one of these storms, such as Helene, and they've done the vast majority of it in a week. And so they've really done a great job. Next, we have our fire chief, Barbara Tripp.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, we just want to thank the community. Thank you for listening to the local officials when it comes to evacuation. I want to thank everyone who has taken heed to this evacuation policy. We want everyone to be safe out there and want to continue to follow the news and get continued updates through our social media as well as the different information that's been given to you all. We cannot stress enough when the situations get to a point that we will not be able to respond. The first responders are here for you, but we need you to help us. Please do not stay in those disaster areas because it will be very difficult for us to respond once the winds get a certain speed. With that being said, the mayor talked about as far as receiving a lot of resources throughout from the state and local. I can attest to that. We have received multiple strike teams here to assist Tampa Fire Rescue. We are in communication with the National Guards as well. So we are definitely prepared for whatever Milton is going to bring us, but we want everyone to be safe with that. As we continue to collaborate with all of the local and stakeholders, as she spoke of with Tampa General, we are here to assist, but we need you guys to take heed. The city of Tampa has also opened up the downtown garages to take your vehicles. We continue to talk about electrical vehicles, and as far as hoverboards, scooters, all of that lithium-ion batteries, you need to make sure that it does not mix with water. We ask you to take heed to all of the services, take your vehicles to higher grounds, so they will be taken care of. With that being said, we know with this storm, it's going to produce a lot of wind, rain, which cause power lines to go down. Please take precautions when you're approaching any line. Assume that that power line is live. Call 911 so we'll be able to assist. With that being said, the power lines itself will cause some serious danger if you touch it, including up to death. We definitely don't want you all to take heed to those power lines. Power, for some residents, will be out. We know people are saying talk about it. Would put generators into service. We continue to tell you to make sure those generators are operated in a well-ventilated area, not inside your home or garage. Make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions when it comes to that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, text to 888-777 Tampa Ready, all one word, 888-777 to test the word Tampa Ready. And for Spanish, Tampa Lista, 888-777. Thank you, and we want everyone to be safe. Now I'm turning over to Chief Burkholm.
The common theme here is heeding our warning for evacuation and having patience. We have an all-hands-on-deck approach. I have every single one of our 1,000 officers out here today. Many of them are assisting with evacuation. I went out to several houses myself this morning, and one in South Tampa. We encountered an elderly female who did not want to evacuate. Hopefully she will evacuate. We've worked something out with her son, but my concern is that there's many more like her out there that aren't heeding our warning. The message that I'm providing them and to all of you all is I cannot send my officers out in the peak of this storm. We will not be able to respond. Our officers need to be safe and sound and ready for our recovery efforts. I want to reassure you all, but I can't reassure you during those peak periods if you're not evacuating. If you're under a mandatory evacuation order, it's mandatory for a reason. Please do that. And when you're at the gas stations, have patience. We don't need to unnecessarily tie up our police officers for a minor disturbance at a gas station. Our officers are going door to door in low-lying areas and assisting. We've never seen anything like this before. This is the storm of the century, and we just need everybody to have patience, to stay safe, and to follow our direction. And for now, I have our Council Chair, Guido Maniscalco.
Thank you very much. So I've been here my whole life, 40 years, and I've never seen a storm like this. This is a potentially life and death situation. This is a potentially historically catastrophic storm. This is the storm of the century. We haven't had this potential impact in over 100 years. We have to be ready. It's all hands on deck. The mayor's here. All city departments are here. We're working around the clock to make sure that people are safe. We're waiting until the storm passes for that response, that recovery, and restoration. We will lose power. I lose power every time. Many of my neighbors do. Be prepared. There's still time. If you're able to get gas, I know the gas stations are running out and they're refilling. Try to get gas. Try to have non-perishable food items. Have enough water and be prepared, because this could be that storm that we've been waiting for. And what we saw a few weeks ago was basically a sample of what could happen. The wind is one thing, but we also have the storm surge potential that can be devastating. It has been devastating. And so please take this seriously. If you are asked to evacuate and you're in an evacuation zone, please go somewhere where it's safer. The storm will pass. We want to make sure that you stay safe. All residents of Tampa, we are in this together. We are in this to get through this, recover, and make sure that we come out of this stronger and safer. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to welcome Hillsborough County Commissioner Harry Cohen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Just to bring you some brief information from Hillsborough County. To reiterate, this storm is forecast to bring significant threats, including storm surge, heavy wind, and severe flooding. Hillsborough County remains under a state of local emergency with a mandatory evacuation for both Zone A and Zone B, including all mobile homes and manufactured homes across the county. The key word here is mandatory evacuation. Councilman Maniscalco referred to Hurricane Helene. We have seen what can happen when there is a storm surge and people have not evacuated, and this could be twice, 3 times what that was. Please urge our warnings and evacuate now. Go to higher ground and ride out the storm with friends or relatives, whether it be outside of the evacuation area or in the immediate vicinity. You should be to where you are going by 7 a.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, October 9th. You should know your evacuation zone. If you do not know it, go to hcfl.gov/stay safe to find it. You can also find comprehensive information about storm preparation and recovery there. Residents in an evacuation zone who require transportation should call the HC Storm Information and Helpline at 833-HC-STORM or 833-427-8676. For those that do not have a safe location, Hillsborough County continues to operate 9 emergency shelters, 6 of which are general population and 3 for special needs. They are available and they are open and they are accepting people if you have nowhere else to go. They are Burnett Middle School in Seffner, Durant High School in Plant City, Middleton High School in Tampa, Shields Middle School in Ruskin, and Sickles High School in Tampa. There is a general population no pet shelter available at Pizzo Elementary School in Tampa, and 3 special needs only pet-friendly shelters at Irwin Technical College, Sumner High School, and Strawberry Crest High School. Hillsborough County Solid Waste continues to collect debris from Hurricane Helene ahead of Milton. The county has mobilized all available resources to expedite storm debris removal from affected residential neighborhoods. To further that effort, the county has launched a 24-hour temporary debris drop-off site at its resource recovery facility at 350 North Falkenberg Road, where anybody can drop off many types of debris. For more information, please go to hcfl.gov/solid waste. The county's 5 community collection centers are open with extended hours to accommodate storm cleanup from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. today. They're only open today. They will close at 7 p.m. So again, go to hcfl.gov/solid waste to find out about those sites. I also want to remind everyone, don't drive through stormwater. Make sure to secure electric vehicles. We've seen in the past that those are a huge source of fires, and stay safe and heed the warnings. We can all get through this together, but we've got to listen to each other, take care of each other, and make sure to get to higher ground. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. And now, Tico?
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Lou Karn, and I'm from Tampa Electric. We know that this is a stressful time for our community, and I want to reassure you that we are doing everything we can to prepare for a safe restoration. Tampa Electric initiated our storm plans and have been working around the clock to prepare for Hurricane Milton. Our crews prepare and train year-round every year for this situation, and they are ready. We are confident we have the resources and expertise to restore power as quickly and safely as possible. So far, we've mobilized 4,500 utility workers from as far away as Texas, Minnesota, and Missouri to help with our restoration efforts after the storm, and we expect to add more workers in the days to come. Just to give you an idea of how important this storm is to us and how seriously we are taking it, this is the largest mobilization of utility workers that Tampa Electric has ever secured to bring in for a storm restoration. Even with these preparations, A storm of this magnitude will cause significant damage and affect our infrastructure. So we urge customers to be prepared for widespread and extended outages. We also ask for your patience as we work to restore power after the storm. From a safety perspective, I'd like to share a few tips with you. We ask that if you're evacuating your home, particularly due to a flood risk, please turn off the main breaker at your house. Make sure your hands are dry and you are not standing in any type of water when you touch any electrical items. If you depend on medical equipment to sustain your life, we ask that you please have a backup source of power in case of an outage. For portable generators, as the chief said, please do not operate them indoors. Keep them away from your house, away from your air conditioning intake, away from doors and windows. Plug your appliances into your generator. Do not plug your generator into your home circuits, and keep it dry at all costs. Should not be wet or in water. Avoid floodwaters. Water and electricity do not mix. This is water not only in the street but in your home. It could be energized and cause serious hazards. As for down power lines, again, avoid down power lines. Do not touch them or anything they are touching. If a down power line is on a fence, you do not want to touch that fence. It may be energized. If you see a down power line, immediately call 911 and then us. If you smell rotten eggs, that can signal a natural gas leak, which is also an emergency. Please call 911 and then call us. Lastly, I would like to address some of the rumors that the mayor had mentioned. Tampa Electric has no plans to proactively turn off power anywhere in our service area. We will only do this in the very rare case that the flooding is imminent and storm surge is at critical levels. This action is reserved for extreme circumstances. For reference, we did not need to do this for Hurricane Helene, even though that storm brought in excessive record-setting storm surge. So again, please note that we have no plans to proactively turn off power anywhere in our service area. Please stay safe. Thank you.
All right, open it up to questions.
Mayor, how long was your call with the president for? What did you discuss?
Actually, he called my cell phone last night, and we probably talked for at least 30 minutes. And basically that this is the storm of the century, that it's expected that there will be storm surge effects on the east coast of Florida. And just wanted to make sure that we had what we needed in the entire Tampa Bay area to prepare for it, and then the assurance that following the storm, the resources would be here.
What did you tell him the most important need would be?
I told him for us, right last night, it was the debris cleanup, trying to get that household debris off of the streets so that that doesn't become additional fuel for Hurricane Milton. I also said that we needed tiger dams, and those are filled with water, and it's sort of like the aqua fence with water. And we put those around our wastewater pumping sites to make sure that they continue on. We have a very, very robust plan for responding to hurricanes, and we learn more and more every year by sending our resources down to help those areas that have been hit. So we have a robust plan. Our needs aren't great, but in the recovery portion, we definitely will need help.
If you were to take all the homes that you would like to visit to get debris from, to remove, what percentage of homes will be reached by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Well, we're going to reach all that we can. I gave a very ambitious percentage yesterday, but I would say maybe around 20% that we won't be able to hit.
So you think 80 you will be able to
We've
get to?
cleaned, all of Palmetto Beach is done, all of Davis Islands are done, and Port Tampa, South Tampa, that was again the all hands on deck, bringing everyone in that could remove that debris. And then the police department did a great job of going down all the streets, telling everybody, get your vehicles out from in front of it and then blocking off sections of streets so that the machinery could come in.
How far into South Tampa and downtown are you expecting this potential storm surge to go?
Well, I'll just tell you one of my vivid memories from the past with Hurricane Charlie, and we were in the crosshairs for that. And the prediction was 10 to 12 foot storm surge. And I remember the meteorologist saying that the storm surge at 12 feet would crest at I-275. So that is something that you really only see in the movies.
Yeah. Sorry. When it comes to the number of people that your people are apparently choosing to stay behind, do you know how many people seem to be trying to ride this out?
We don't. That comes up all the time, and that kind of talk is so foolish. And I've said many times that you want to pick a fight with Mother Nature, she's winning 100% of the time. And individuals that are in these, say you're in a single-story home, 12 feet is above that house. So if you're in it, basically that's the coffin that you're in. And it's just of this magnitude. What we can hope for is that the storm goes a bit south. Don't want to wish anything on our neighbors, but if it went a bit south, that would prevent the storm surge from coming into Tampa Bay, where it has no place to go. It's just a storm surge. It gets pushed into the bay, and it's coming into our neighborhoods.
Does it seem like most people are respecting your
Oh,
warnings?
yes,
Does.
yes. You can just look at the traffic. It's incredible. I spoke with my good friend Buddy Dyer from Orlando today, and I told him I think the majority of Tampa Bay residents are in his neighborhood right now. Helene was a wake-up call, and people understand the force of the water, and they've heeded the warnings. All right. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Good afternoon. We're here at the Florida Horse Park in Ocala. This is one of our major logistical staging areas for both resources and personnel for the response to Hurricane Milton. This storm is expected to make landfall on the Florida Peninsula, the west coast of Florida, sometime late Wednesday evening, maybe early Thursday morning in the wee hours is kind of where it's looking now. But it has moved a little bit slower than projected over the last 36 hours. There is still a lot of uncertainty about where exactly the eye of the storm is going to hit. I think the most recent models have it somewhere in Manatee County, just south of Tampa Bay. But I would just tell people, one, there's going to be impacts far beyond wherever the eye of the storm is. Two, you could make landfall anywhere from Citrus County down into southwest Florida. We'll know more over the next 12 to 18 hours, but just cones, all this stuff you see, the impacts will be broader than that, particularly with respect to storm surge on the west coast of Florida. I know that there's a lot of folks who have evacuated, who are in those areas, and you absolutely could get whacked with really serious storm surge. Really, almost every place on the west coast of Florida could get major storm surge. Today I held a joint call with state legislative leaders and the cabinet to brief them on Florida's efforts on the storm and about our resources that are being offered and being utilized by the state of Florida. We also did a similar call to Florida's congressional delegation. I've also spoken to the president and the FEMA administrator. We've had our request approved for pre-landfall. We will get a landfall, major disaster declaration approved once the storm hits, and that will be things like debris removal and individual assistance. We still have 51 counties that are under a state of emergency. There's pretty much warnings or watches on almost the entire Florida peninsula. A lot of attention is being paid to the storm surge on the west coast of the Florida Peninsula, and rightfully so, because that's probably the most serious threat to people's lives and property. But this storm is going to go across the Florida Peninsula, and it's going to exit on the east coast of Florida into the Atlantic Ocean, likely still as a hurricane. So that is going to bring significant impacts all across the state. So just be prepared for that. That may mean mobile homes, even interior, other structures that may not be hurricane proof, that could create hazards, rivers, other bodies of water. As you have more rain and you have flooding, that could be an issue. And then you could have surge on the east coast of Florida. You could have erosion. You could have different things with the coast. So this is not just an event about the west coast of Florida. That will be where the initial impacts and probably the most significant, but the impacts will not be limited there. So here we are at the Florida Horse Park. We have staging areas around different parts of the state, and there are different sites that are doing different things. I mean, for example, you go to like Lake City, you got a lot of the utility linemen there that are staged. We've had a lot of people staged in the Tampa Bay area for utility and other things. But this one right here is really good. I'm not saying Ocala is not going to have any impacts from the storm, but we fully anticipate be able to move people where they need to go very quickly once the storm passes. And we have different partners that the state contracts with. They have personnel. I think as you see, they camp out here. This is where they are, and then they're able to respond. We got massive amounts of equipment here. Land, air, sea vehicles, supplies, generators, equipment, bucket trucks, you name it, this stuff is here. And so this is just one of many sites that are ready to go. The reason why we do state of emergency, we did it over the weekend on Saturday. We knew the storm wasn't likely to hit until middle of the week at the earliest, because you want to start amassing these resources, and that's what we've done. I think it's been really, really important. So on this property, you got over 2,000 pieces of equipment, including a lot of pumps, a lot of generators, light plants, display boards, restroom trailers, laundry trailers, forklifts, air conditioning units, electrical equipment, water hoses, bunk trailers, and rollback trucks. 400 personnel here, including riggers, equipment operators, pump crews, and drivers. Fuel trucks are also here to be deployed as needed. Florida DEM is currently in the process of completing 1,200 missions. So far you're looking at deploying hundreds of thousands of shelf-stable meals, hundreds of thousands of water bottles, hundreds of thousands of sandbags, a lot of tarps and a lot of generators, and many other things. And so that is being resourced to the counties. And then of course we also have staging areas that we'll do with our pods once the storm passes. We have utilized flood protection devices in areas to protect against storm surge. We've now deployed more than 11,000 feet of those Tiger dams. That's really important to protect hospitals, wastewater facilities, and electrical infrastructures. Of course, we've been outfitting counties for years now with Starlink internet, so that's going to be available to be used as needed. In terms of fuel, we amassed a lot of fuel before this particular emergency. We actually had it for Helene, didn't really need to use it for that. We have 268,000 gallons of diesel, 110,000 gallons of regular gas on standby. That's just from the state. You still have the fuel at the ports that are being brought in. But then we also have another 1.2 million gallons of both diesel and gas that are currently en route to the state. Now, I know there's been a lot of lines at gas stations. You obviously have an inordinate demand for fuel, much more than would typically happen. What's happening is there's long lines, the gas stations run out of fuel, but the fuel supply is available. So then they ask for more fuel to be brought. And so what we're doing is we've authorized Florida highway patrols to escort with the siren so they get there quicker major fuel trucks. So we've had 43 fuel trucks that have already been escorted by Florida Highway Patrol to deliver fuel to stations, particularly in the anticipated impact area. We're also working with companies like Circle K, Gate, Racetrack, Wawa, Shell, and Walmart to ensure fuel trucks are working 24/7 to keep fuel delivered as it comes into our ports. There's no longer fuel coming into some of the West Coast ports like Tampa and Manatee, but they've got a lot of fuel there on dockside that is going to continue to be used. And I spoke with both ports of Tampa and Manatee today, and they've got a lot of fuel. So that's continuing to happen. And then fuel has been coming into East Coast ports. That's probably going to stop soon. Maybe it's already stopped now. But again, there's a lot of fuel that's on hand that can be brought out on the dockside, and that's what we're looking to continue to see happen. Debris removal from Hurricane Helene. I think most people know the counties and the cities, they have contracts for debris removal after a storm. There was not necessarily great job all around on some of the contractors in places like Manatee, Sarasota, Hillsborough counties. We saw this debris once it was clear there was going to be some type of storm this weekend. We decided to create a state support debris mission. And what we've done is we've mandated the landfills are open 24 hours. We had one county where they didn't have anyone there manning it. We opened it up forcibly, make sure that debris can be brought in. So that's Florida Department of Transportation. They've now deployed over 300 dump trucks so that work to remove debris 24/7, and they're going to continue to do it all day today and as long as they can tomorrow before we start to feel impacts from the onset of the storm. So as of this morning, Florida Department of Transportation has removed over 1,300 truckloads of debris in a little over 48 hours. That's a huge, huge amount. Now, there was issues, so the most debris was probably in the Pinellas County beaches. You also had Manatee, the barrier islands like Anna Maria, a lot of debris. That was our initial focus. Sarasota also had a lot of debris on their barrier islands, and I guess their contractor kind of left them holding the ball. So we've now surged over 100 FDOT vehicles between Manatee and Sarasota working to step in where the contractors left off. And we're going to continue doing that again all the way until it's no longer safe to do so. We've made a huge dent in this. The more debris we can get picked up, the less damage is going to happen, whether that's floating into the Gulf of Mexico, whether it's projectiles that go into other buildings. We have hundreds of state search and rescue personnel, a total of 26 teams embedded in potential impact sites along the West Coast to begin immediate rescue operations as soon as the storm passes, should the need arise. I know a lot of people have left, and hopefully there's not a need for a lot of rescues, but those personnel will be there if they need. We have 5,000 National Guard that are on duty. That'll expand to 8,000 very, very soon. We have a total of 34 search and rescue aircraft. We've gotten a lot of support from other states, and we thank them for that. We have 450 tactical vehicles, including 140 high-wheeled vehicles, aerial, water, and ground National Guard search and rescue teams. This is probably the largest National Guard mobilization in advance of a storm in Florida history. We also have the Florida State Guard, 10 maritime crews, 3 high-water UTVs, 2 UH-60 Blackhawks, 4 drone teams, 15 cut and toss crews, 2 amphibious rescue crews, and almost 200 Florida State Guard soldiers. Linemen and power restoration resources are being marshaled. We now have over 43,000 linemen who are being brought in from as far away as California, so we appreciate them for power restoration. We've also assisted with the evacuation of 300 healthcare facilities in the potential path of the storm. State veteran nursing homes that are currently located in the cone are accepting families of residents to shelter with them, as they are all built to withstand Cat 5 hurricane winds, and they're outside of flood zones. Florida Disaster Fund. This was activated after Ian, Idalia, and Helene. If you want to support for Milton, go to floridadisasterfund.org. This is really, really significant way to help people. You should be executing your plan now. If you're going to get out now. You have time today. Time will be running out very shortly if you wait any longer. Of course, there's a lot of mandatory evacs that have been done. We have done the shoulders on the I-4 and the I-75. Veterans Expressway and Suncoast Parkway tolls have been waived. Those can also be used as evacuation routes. I-4 is doing a lot better today than yesterday. Still traffic, but that's it. That's the norm for that. I-75 northbound, 20 to 30% higher volumes. Alligator Alley is pretty jammed right now. We have an unprecedented effort underway. I want to thank everyone that's been involved. It's not easy, especially when you've just responded to a Category 4 storm, Helene, to have it done. I know everybody's tired. Trust me, we get it. We're wearing out the Celsius at the state EOC, but what you're doing is important. Hang in there and let's get the job done. Okay, Kevin?
Thank you, Governor, for your leadership and commitment so that we have the resources that we need to respond to this unprecedented event. The State Emergency Response Team continues to work on more than 1,000 missions that the Governor's already mentioned. We will continue to fulfill these requests 24/7 as we prepare for landfall. Once the storm has passed, we have tens of thousands of resources staged and ready to deploy to the impacted communities as soon as it's safe to do so. Life-threatening storm surge is expected along Florida's west coast. Storm surge values shown in some areas could exceed 15 feet. Counties from Levy to Collier have ordered mandatory evacuations, and I urge you to heed those warnings if you're in one of those zones. By now, I hope you know whether if you live in an evacuation zone or not. But if you do not know, please go right now to floridadisaster.org/know and find out if you live in an evacuation zone. If you are in a mobile or a manufactured home or in a low-lying flood-prone area, it is never safe to stay in that situation. No matter what year it was built, you need to evacuate. Please remember, evacuating doesn't mean driving hundreds of miles. It means just driving tens of miles to the closest friend, family, or shelter nearest you. I want to reiterate that shelters are free. Nobody is going to charge you to go to a school, stay in a shelter, even one of the state shelters that the state of Florida has opened. Shelters are free. Please make sure you bring your pets with you. The state is going to open a series of shelters to supplement county shelters. Should the need arise, we will be ready to take the surge capacity. 2 of those shelters that we have already opened are Wiregrass Sports Complex in Wesley Chapel, Florida, and the Seminole Tribe Event Center in Tampa, Florida. I want to thank both of those private sector entities for their support in helping us protect Floridians. Evacuate today if you have been told to do so. If you have been asked to evacuate and you ask yourself, should I would ask you to ask the next question, is it worth the risk? As the governor said before, there are options to assist residents with evacuating. We have a shuttle system that the state of Florida provides. If you need a ride, you can certainly go to Lyft or Uber and put in Milton Relief. That's Milton Relief to get a free ride, or we'll send a bus to pick you up. That number is 1-800-729-3413. Power outages are expected with this storm. Widespread tree and foliage damage is expected with this storm. Right now is a great time to make sure all of your portable electronic devices are charged. Please make sure your supply kit has at least 7 days worth of food in it. Again, today is a day. Today is the day. Time is running out. You need to start to execute your plan. Please be sure to follow our agency on X and Instagram at FLSERT, that's at Florida CERT, and on Facebook at FDEM, as we continue to share important information in real time. Again, Governor DeSantis, thank you so much for your support. All right, thank you, Governor, for your leadership, and good afternoon. So FDOT has been hard at work, not only responding to Hurricane Helene, but also switching our focus to preparing for Hurricane Milton. A big part of that is the debris mission that was directed by Governor DeSantis. Hurricane Helene left a lot of debris behind. Governor asked state agencies, marshal all of your resources, bring your people, bring your equipment, get as much debris off the barrier islands as you possibly can before Hurricane Milton makes landfall. We've been hard at work. We've been working with the Department of Agriculture, the Florida State Guard, the Florida National Guard, Southwest Florida Water Management, and the Florida Highway Patrol to move this debris as quickly as possible. You heard from the governor in the past 48 hours, we've removed over 1,300 loads of debris, which is nearly 24,000 cubic yards. That's in just 48 hours. Truly is remarkable. We're also putting in a lot of other efforts to prepare for this event. We do ask our local governments, local municipalities, counties, and their debris contractors and vendors. This is a 24/7 operation. Bring your resources to the table. Continue to move debris. The more debris we remove, the better off these communities are going to be. We have suspended tolls in Central and West Florida and also along Alligator Alley and 595 Express in South Florida to facilitate evacuations. Together, FDOT and the Florida Highway Patrol implemented emergency shoulder use along I-4 from Tampa to Orlando and also along I-75 from Tampa to I-10 in Columbia County. We have had very heavy traffic since we did that, but it did begin to relieve. Late last night, it began to return to normal. We have seen heavy traffic and congestion throughout the day. I-4 has returned to normal with the exception of our normal congestion areas. I-75 is still seeing 20 to 30% higher volumes. Alligator Alley today has seen significantly higher volumes. This is a good thing. People are evacuating, they're heeding the evacuation orders. We're going to continue to support that. We've expanded our Road Ranger Service Patrol. We're providing motorist aid, fuel for stranded motorists, and helping disabled vehicles get out of the travelway. You can still evacuate. There's still time. The window is closing. One thing I would like to say, please do not wait until the last minute. It can be very dangerous to drive with heavy rain and high winds. Every storm season we end up seeing traffic fatalities from people who wait to the last minute to leave. If you're wondering, should I evacuate, go ahead and evacuate while you still have time and get you and your family to safety. We're monitoring causeways and bridges on the West Coast, specifically in the Tampa Bay region. If you're planning to evacuate, keep in mind that at some point, the bridges and causeways will have to close. When winds exceed 40 miles per hour and the wave impacts make travel unsafe, we will coordinate with Florida Highway Patrol and local law enforcement to close the bridges and causeways for travel. At some point, it will be unsafe for those troopers to remain in place, and they will have to go find safety. Please obey posted signage and barricades. If you choose to cross a bridge or a causeway that is closed, you are putting yourself and those with you in extreme danger. We have suspended construction on all of our construction projects statewide. We have removed all planned lane closures to facilitate evacuations, and we've also had a statewide call and coordination with our construction industry. They have offered all the resources they have and people they have to help us respond to this emergency. We are expecting significant widespread impacts, and we're going to be ready to effect any temporary emergency repairs that are needed as quickly as possible. We've staged 156 bridge inspectors around the forecast impacted area. We have 328 team members staged for cut and toss operations and over 1,500 pieces of heavy equipment ready to go. We will be pushing in right behind Hurricane Milton as it makes landfall, and we will push in behind it as it crosses the peninsula to fix and repair roads and clear roads so that the life safety mission can continue. We've been in close coordination with our seaports. Port Key West, Port Tampa Bay, Port St. Pete, Seaport Manatee are all closed on water side, but as the governor mentioned, they are still moving fuel on land side. Port of Fort Pierce, Port Palm Beach, Port Everglades, Port Miami, Jacksport, Port Canaveral are still open, but will be closing soon on water side. We've been in close coordination with all of our airports. For any suspensions, cancellations of flights, please get with your airline provider. For traffic information, up-to-date information, we have 10 regional traffic management centers across the entire state that work 24/7. We are updating fl511.com live. This is the source of information for traffic. If you need to know route, if you're getting ready to evacuate and need to know which route to take, go to fl511.com. You can view our traffic cameras live, you can plan your route, and you can get to safety efficiently. Remember, always follow the direction of local law enforcement and emergency personnel. Again, Governor, thank you for your leadership as we prepare.
Well, we appreciate everybody that's been working hard. As I mentioned, there's been state of emergency now for over 2 weeks straight in terms of mobilization, preparation, response to one Category 4 storm, and now mobilization and response to another major hurricane. It's not easy. I know people have been working around the clock, not just with state government, but our local counties and cities, and then all the other partners that participate in this. But people are pushing forward. They're stepping up. I know some of our residents that just experienced hurricane damage from Helene are also fatigued. Just hang in there and do the right thing. Just let's get through this. We can do it together, and then on the other side of it, make sure everybody's safe, and we'll put the pieces back together. The state is strong. We're going to be able to weather it. Not going to be easy. We're going to suffer damage, but don't lose faith. It's a tough thing to do 2 storms in 2 weeks, but we'll get through it. Okay. Any questions? So the question's about what happens with the price gouging at gas stations. Attorney General Moody is on that. That's her purview. I know she's actively policing that. So if you do have examples of that, I know she'll want to follow up with that very quickly. So the question's about FEMA staffing, that they are limited right now to be able to come down. What I would say is, what we have these urban search and rescue teams that have been mobilized. That is done under the auspices of FEMA and DHS, even though a lot of these people are Florida firefighters. So that is being done. I think that's an important component. In terms of like staffers and some of the bureaucracy, fortunately for Florida, we have a machine. I mean, this is something that we work on. We know we've got to deal with it, being a tropical state, and we do. And so I think what will happen is once we get major landfall, major disaster declaration post landfall, that we'll be able to hopefully get that individual assistance, get the debris kicking. So I'm not sure how much of an effect it's going to have on us because we're going to have a robust response. I think you look at some of the other parts of the country, the state that didn't have as much of a robust response in some of those areas. So we have more people on hand than we've ever had. I'm confident that the federal government will approve what we need approved going forward, and we'll make sure that we continue doing the best we can for the people of this state. So the questions about this is a massive guard mobilization, what necessitated that? Well, part of it is it's a big storm, powerful storm, and it's going in an ominous track. One of the worst places to take a major hurricane is the Tampa Bay area. It's low-lying. You have Pinellas County as a peninsula surrounded by water. The prospect for devastating storm surge is high, and it has a chance to damage a lot of property and put a lot of people's lives at risk. Now, I think most people have gotten out, but the reality is this is something that we planned for. This is something that we knew could be something that happened, and it's not guaranteed this is going to go into Tampa Bay, as I mentioned. It could go north of it. It could go down further into southwest Florida. That's all possible as this thing continues to approach the Florida Peninsula. But, to compare to like Helene made landfall in the Big Bend of Florida. We had no fatalities in Taylor County at all from a major 15, 20-foot storm surge. That's pretty remarkable, but there's also much fewer people there. You start talking about the greater Tampa Bay area, that's millions of people. And then if the storm rides I-4 out to the Atlantic, that's many millions more. So I think that reality and possibility necessitated the robust response. Okay, thanks everybody.